There was a time when the whole world spoke one language. Everyone used the same words. Then people began to move from the east. They found a plain in the land of Babylonia and stayed there to live. Then they said to each other, "Let's make some bricks of clay and bake them in the fire." Then they used these bricks as stones and they used tar as mortar. Then the people said, "Let's build ourselves a city and a tower that will reach to the sky. Then we will be famous. This will keep us together so that we will not be scattered all over the earth." Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. Then the Lord said, "These people all speak the same language, and I see that they are joined together to do this work. This is only the beginning of what they can do. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. Let's go down and confuse their language. Then they will not understand each other." So the people stopped building the city, and the Lord scattered them all over the earth. That is the place where the Lord confused the language of the whole world. That is why it is called Babel. And it was from there that the Lord caused the people to spread out to all the other places on earth. This is the history of Shem's family. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, his son Arphaxad was born. After that, Shem lived 500 years. He had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad was 35 years old, his son Shelah was born. After Shelah was born, Arphaxad lived 403 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Shelah was 30 years old, his son Eber was born. After Eber was born, Shelah lived 403 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Eber was 34 years old, his son Peleg was born. After Peleg was born, Eber lived another 430 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Peleg was 30 years old, his son Reu was born. After Reu was born, Peleg lived another 209 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Reu was 32 years old, his son Sereg was born. After Sereg was born, Reu lived another 207 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Sereg was 30 years old, his son Nahor was born. After Nahor was born, Sereg lived another 200 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Nahor was 29 years old, his son Terah was born. After Terah was born, Nahor lived another 119 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Terah was 70 years old, his sons Abram, Nahor, and Haran were born. Shem's descendants were Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, Terah, and Abram. Abram is also called Abraham. This is the history of Terah's family. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran was the father of Lot. Haran died in his hometown Ur of Babylonia, while his father Terah was still alive. Abram and Nahor both married. Abram's wife was named Sarai. Nahor's wife was named Milcah. Milcah was the daughter of Haran. Haran was the father of Milcah and Iscah. Sarai did not have any children because she was not able to have children. Terah took his family and left Ur of Babylonia. They planned to travel to Canaan. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, Haran's son, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abram's wife. They traveled to the city of Haran and decided to stay there. The Lord said to Abram, "Leave your country and your people. Leave your father's family and go to the country that I will show you. I will build a great nation from you. I will bless you and make your name famous. People will use your name to bless other people. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. I will use you to bless all the people on earth." So Abram left Haran just like the Lord said, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the slaves, and all the other things he had gotten in Haran. Then he and his group moved to the land of Canaan. Abram traveled through the land as far as the town of Shechem, and then to the big tree at Moreh. The Canaanites were living in the land at the time. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "I will give this land to your descendants." Abram built an altar to honor the Lord who appeared to him there. Then he left that place and traveled to the mountains east of Bethel. He set up his tent there. Bethel was to the west and Ai was to the east. Abram built another altar at that place to honor the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord there. Then he moved on toward the Negev, stopping for a time at several places on the way. During this time, there was not enough food in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to live. Just before they arrived in Egypt, Abram told Sarai, "Look, I know that you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptian men see you, they will say, 'This woman is his wife.' Then they will kill me and keep you alive because they want you. So tell them that you are my sister. Then they will be good to me because of you. In this way you will save my life." So when Abram went into Egypt, the Egyptian men saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. Even some of Pharaoh's officials noticed her and told Pharaoh how beautiful she was. So they took her to Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh was kind to Abram because he thought Abram was Sarai's brother. He gave Abram sheep, cattle, donkeys, camels, and men and women servants. Pharaoh took Abram's wife, so the Lord caused Pharaoh and all the people in his house to have very bad diseases. Pharaoh called Abram and said to him, "You have done a very bad thing to me. Why didn't you tell me Sarai was your wife? You said, 'She is my sister.' Why did you say that? I took her so that she could be my wife, but now I give your wife back to you. Take her and go." Then Pharaoh commanded his men to lead Abram out of Egypt. So Abram and his wife left that place and took everything they had with them. So Abram left Egypt. He traveled through the Negev with his wife and everything he owned. Lot was also with them. At this time, Abram was very rich. He had many animals and much silver and gold. Abram continued traveling around. He left the Negev and went back to Bethel. He went to the place between the city of Bethel and Ai, where he and his family had camped before. This was where Abram had built an altar earlier, so he worshipped the Lord there. During this time, Lot was also traveling with Abram. Lot had many animals and tents. Abram and Lot had so many animals that the land could not support both of them together. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living in this land at the same time. The shepherds of Abram and Lot began to argue. So Abram said to Lot, "There should be no arguing between you and me, or between your people and my people. We are brothers. We should separate. You can choose any place you want. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot looked and saw the whole Jordan Valley. He saw that there was much water there. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. At that time, the Jordan Valley all the way to Zoar was like the Lord's garden. This was good land, like the land of Egypt. So Lot chose to live in the Jordan Valley. The two men separated, and Lot began traveling east. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived among the cities in the valley. Lot moved as far as Sodom and made his camp there. The Lord knew that the people of Sodom were very evil sinners. After Lot left, the Lord said to Abram, "Look around you. Look north, south, east, and west. All this land that you see I will give to you and your people who live after you. This will be your land forever. I will make your people so many that they will be like the dust of the earth. If people could count all the particles of dust on earth, they could count your people. So go, walk through your land. I now give it to you." So Abram moved his tents. He went to live near the big trees of Mamre. This was near the city of Hebron. There he built an altar to honor the Lord. Amraphel was the king of Babylonia. Arioch was the king of Elasar. Kedorlaomer was the king of Elam, and Tidal was the king of Goim. All these kings fought a war against King Bera of Sodom, King Birsha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemeber of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. Bela is also called Zoar. All these kings joined their armies in the valley of Siddim. The valley of Siddim is now the Salt Sea. These kings had served Kedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they all rebelled against him. So in the 14th year, King Kedorlaomer and the kings with him came to fight against them. Kedorlaomer and the kings with him defeated the Rephaites in Ashtaroth Karnaim. They also defeated the Zuzites in Ham. They defeated the Emites in Shaveh Kiriathaim. And they defeated the Horites who lived in the area from the hill country of Seir to El Paran. El Paran is near the desert. The king Kedorlaomer turned back, went to En-Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, and defeated the Amalekites. He also defeated the Amorites living in Hazezon Tamar. At that time the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, or Zor, joined together to fight against their enemies in the valley of Siddim. They fought against King Kedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goim, King Amraphel of Babylonia, and King Arioch of Elasar. So there were 4 kings fighting against 5. There were many holes filled with tar in the valley of Siddim. When the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and their armies ran away, some of the soldiers fell into these holes, but the others ran away to the mountains. So Kedorlaomer and his armies took everything that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah owned. They took all their food and clothing and left. Lot, the son of Abram's brother, was living in Sodom, and they captured him. They also took everything he owned and left. One of the men who had escaped went to Abram the Hebrew and told him what happened. Abram was camped near the trees of Mamre the Amorite. Mamre, Eshcol, and Aner had made an agreement to help each other, and they had also signed an agreement to help Abram. When Abram learned that Lot was captured, he called all of his family together. There were 318 trained soldiers. He led the men and chased the enemy all the way to the town of Dan. That night, he and his men made a surprise attack against the enemy. They defeated them and chased them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then Abram brought back everything the enemy had stolen, as well as the women and servants, his nephew Lot, and everything Lot owned. Then Abram went home after he defeated Kedorlaomer and the kings with him. On his way home, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh. This is now called King's Valley. Melchizedek, the king of Salem, and a priest of God Most High, also went to meet Abram. He brought bread and wine. He blessed Abram and said, "Abram, may you be blessed by God Most High, the one who made heaven and earth. And we praise God Most High, who helped you defeat your enemies." Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of everything he had taken during the battle. Then the king of Sodom told Abram, "Give me my people who were captured, but you can keep everything else." But Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I promise to the Lord, the God Most High, the one who made heaven and earth, I promise that I will not keep anything that is yours, not even a thread or a sandal strap. I don't want you to say, 'I made Abraham rich.' The only thing I will accept is the food that my young men have eaten, but you should give the other men their share. Take what we won in battle and give some to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. These men helped me in the battle."